Across the continent, the story is one of unmet potential and unyielding resistance. From the highest halls of power to the streets where citizens demand accountability, Africa is grappling with its future. This is the moment Africa defines its internal battle. This is the African News Update on Top Accolade News. The headlines: Tanzania cancels Independence Day celebrations. Zimbabwe Women's Coalition called for parliamentary inquiry into child marriage. Uganda detains hundreds of Bobi Wine supporters. Angola to roll over $1 billion debt facility with JPMorgan. We begin with the steep cost of unrest. Tanzania has cancelled next month's Independence Day celebrations, redirecting funds to rebuild infrastructure damage during unrest following last month's disputed election. Prime Minister Mwuli Nchemba announced. President Samia Suluhu Hassan won the poll with 98% of the vote, amid opposition claim of manipulation and the detention or disqualification of key challengers. The government has imposed a commission of inquiry, lifted an internet blackout, and urged political dialogue, while at least 240 people face treason charges, many of whom have been released. In Tanzania, national pride now bows to the shadow of political violence. From Tanzania to Zimbabwe, the fight for protection takes another form. The Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe has petitioned Parliament to investigate the country's failure to enforce laws against child marriage, despite the Marriages Act criminalizing the practice since 2022. The petition, representing over 2,000 activists and 86 organizations, highlights that 34% of girls are still married before 18, with rates rising to 50% in Mashonaland Central, driven by poverty, limited education, harmful tradition, and rigid religious practices. The Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe urges Parliament to demand data on persecutions, align legislation, address online exploitation linked to early marriage, and fund child protection services. The coalition frames child marriage as a public health and human rights emergency, noting girls under 15 face maternal mortality rates 5 times higher than adults. Meanwhile, in Uganda, political opposition comes at a personal cost. Ugandan security forces have detained over 300 supporters and officials of opposition presidential candidate Bobi Wine since the start of the January election campaign, according to the National Unity Platform. The arrests, which included campaign aides and ordinary supporters, followed rallies in Kampala where police used tear gas, water cannon, and pepper spray to disperse crowd. Wine, a pop star turned politician, is challenging 81-year-old President Yoweri Museveni, whose government has removed age and term limits to allow him nearly 4 decades in power. Shifting from politics to finance, African economies are navigating global pressures. Angola will roll over $1 billion debt facility for JPMorgan as it nears maturity, while seeking a lower interest rate than the original rates, just under 9%. The facility is structured as a 1-year total return swap backed by $1.9 billion in government dollar bonds, required an additional $200 million in collateral in April after U.S. tariff weakened the bond's value, which has since recovered. The government regained the extra security, and the bonds were trading at 99.8 cents on the dollar. The move highlights Angola's careful balancing act, managing debt obligation while navigating international financial pressures in a volatile global markets. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Across borders, justice continues its slow march. The International Criminal Court began closing arguments on Tuesday against Mahamat Said Abdelkani, accused of crimes against humanity and war crimes in the Central African Republic in 2013. Prosecutors said Said oversaw torture and enforced disappearances in detention centers during the Seleka's rise to power, while his defense calls the evidence unreliable. Said pleaded not guilty, but if convicted, he faces life imprisonment. Back on home soil, opportunity meets public health. The federal government has opened application for the next cohort of the National Health Fellows Program, aimed at strengthening primary healthcare across Nigeria, targeting Nigerians aged 25 to 35 with degrees in health sciences, social sciences, and related fields. The fellowship officers structure training, mentorship, and field placement in all 774 local government areas. The program seeks to build a skilled cadre of healthcare leaders to tackle public health challenges and reduce preventable diseases. The initiative underscores that investing in young leaders is investing in the nation's health. Nigeria mourns a star. Nigerian actor and content creator Odera Wobu has died at the age of 43 while visiting South Africa. Wobu, known for his comedic roles and baby-face charm, appeared in over 60 films and had a large social media following across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. He was found unresponsive in his hotel room in Benoni near Johannesburg, and paramedics were unable to revive him. The cause of his death is yet to be confirmed. Born in Enugu in 1982, Uwobu began acting straight out of secondary school and later turned to content creation to escape typecasting. His sudden passing has sparked widespread grief online. And finally, some good news on the pitch. FIFA has announced that Rwanda, alongside Mauritius, will host matches for the men's 2026 FIFA series during the international match window in March and April, offering national teams a platform to compete beyond their confederation boundaries. The FIFA series also launching women's events in Brazil, Cote d'Ivoire, and Thailand, aimed to promote football development, universality, and diversity, aligning with FIFA's 2023 to 2027 strategic objectives. Rwanda joins a global roster including Australia, Azerbaijan, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Puerto Rico, and Uzbekistan, continuing Africa's growing presence in international football competitions. Tonight, the story we've shared reminds us of Africa's complexity, courage and tragedy, progress and challenge, heartbreak and triumph. The continent is alive, resilient, and determined to write its own story. I am Ojoromio Kocha, and this is the African News Update on Top Accolade News, keeping you connected to the pulse of the continent.